The distress beacon had been screaming into the void for 3 hours before Captain Daniel Hayes heard it. He sat in the command chair of the Stormbreaker, reviewing supply manifests when the comms officer straightened at her station. "Sir, I'm picking up an emergency broadcast. Multiple frequencies, maximum power." Hayes set down his tablet. "Origin, deep in Galactic Union space." The officer's fingers danced across her console. "Civilian station under attack. They're calling for anyone who can hear them." Hayes pulled up the tactical display. The holographic star map showed their position at the edge of known Union territory, where humanity's exploration fleet had been carefully mapping systems for the past 18 months. Earth's first contact protocols were clear. Observe but don't engage. Learn about the galactic community before revealing humanity's presence. The distress call played through the bridge speakers, and Hayes listened to Commander Vila of Starpoint Station describe the carnage unfolding around her. 60,000 civilians trapped as the Ravager swarm tore through her defenses. Union reinforcements 6 days out. Children dying in the vacuum as hull sections failed. "They won't last 6 hours, his tactical officer said quietly. Hayes studied the numbers. The Ravager fleet consisted of 38 bioorganic warships, each one larger than anything in the human colonial navy. His battle group had 5 ships, 2 heavy cruisers and 3 destroyers. The math was brutal. His second-in-command, Commander Patricia Lang, moved to stand beside his chair. "Sir, if we respond, we're throwing away 2 years of careful observation. Every species in this sector will know about Earth." "I'm aware." Hayes stood and walked to the forward viewport, staring into the infinite dark. Somewhere out there, thousands of people were counting down their final minutes. "Captain, permission to speak freely." His navigator, a stocky woman named Rodriguez, turned from her station. "Granted." Rodriguez gestured at the star map. "Every tactical analysis says we should maintain radio silence. Let the Union handle their problems until we're ready to make contact on our terms." She paused. "But those analyses were written by people who aren't here listening to children die." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the bridge crew. Hayes saw the same expression on every face, determination mixed with barely contained anger. "The Union designated Earth as a forbidden world," the comms officer added. "They've spent decades warning other species about Deathworld natives. If we show up now, they'll think their worst nightmares came true." Hayes made his decision. "Helm, plot a jump to Starpoint Station. Tactical, I want all ships at combat readiness the moment we exit slipspace." He activated the fleet channel. "All vessels, this is Hayes. We've intercepted a distress call from a civilian station under attack. We're outnumbered, but that's never stopped humans before." Acknowledgements came back from the escort ships. The crews had volunteered for deep space duty knowing they might face situations exactly like this. "Captain, what about Earth Command?" Lang asked. "We'll deal with the admirals later." Hayes returned to his chair. "Right now, people need help, and we're the only ones close enough to provide it. That's all the authorization I need." The minutes ticked down as the fleet prepared for combat. Engineering reported reactors at full power. Weapons confirmed all systems armed. The navigation computer calculated jump coordinates. "All ships report ready," Rodriguez announced. Hayes took a breath. This moment would define humanity's relationship with the galaxy for generations. They could be seen as saviors or as dangerous unknowns who couldn't follow protocols. But watching people die when he had the power to intervene wasn't something Hayes could accept. "Execute jump," he ordered. "The moment we're through, light them up." The Stormbreaker tore through slipspace and emerged in a war zone. Starpoint Station hung in the void, bleeding atmosphere from dozens of breaches. The Ravager fleet surrounded it like scavengers circling wounded prey, their bioships pulsing with sickly luminescence. Union defense craft lay scattered as wreckage across thousands of kilometers. "Battle stations," Hayes barked. "Tactical, target the nearest capital ships. Fire at will." The human fleet spread into an attack formation, placing themselves between the station and the Ravager swarm. Hayes knew what came next would shock every species watching on sensors. Rail guns opened fire first, magnetic accelerators hurling tungsten rounds at relativistic velocities. The Ravagers had evolved defenses against energy weapons, bioshields that could absorb or deflect plasma charges. They weren't prepared for solid projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. The rounds punched through shields like tissue paper and kept going, tearing completely through organic hulls. 2 Ravager capital ships broke apart as kinetic energy converted to heat, vaporizing internal structures. Missile batteries, release full spread, Hayes commanded. Hundreds of warheads launched simultaneously, accelerating faster than Union sensors could track. The Ravagers intercepted perhaps 30% before the rest slammed home. Nuclear fusion detonations rippled across biohulls, fires burning in the oxygen-rich organic tissue. 3 more ships simply ceased to exist. Commander Vila's voice crackled through comms, shock evident in every word. Unknown vessels, identify yourselves. Your weapons, those are fusion warheads, who uses such destructive force in ship combat. Starpoint Station, this is Captain Hayes of the Human Colonial Navy. Stay behind our formation. We'll handle the situation. Silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Human, the Death World species, Captain, you're outnumbered nearly 8-1. We've faced worse odds, Hayes replied calmly. Besides, we came a long way to help. Not turning back now. The Ravager fleet began coordinating their response, massive bioships turning to engage the human vessels. Plasma lances and bioacid sprayers activated, weapons that had destroyed Union battle groups. Destroyer Squadron, advance, Hayes ordered. Pattern Delta 3. The 3 destroyers accelerated at 12 gravities, pushing toward the Ravager formation. Human inertial dampeners handled forces that would liquefy most Union species, technology born from colonizing high-gravity worlds where survival meant adapting to crushing acceleration. The destroyers wove through incoming fire with impossible agility, their point defense systems creating walls of depleted uranium slugs. Thousands of rounds per minute shredded Ravager strike craft before they could close to effective range. One destroyer rolled to avoid a plasma lance, fired a full missile spread at point-blank range, then boosted away before the explosions could catch it. The maneuver violated every principle of Union doctrine, which emphasized careful positioning from safe distances. Humans fought differently. Earth had taught them that survival meant aggression, that hesitation got you killed. Millions of years of pursuit predator evolution had coded violence into their genetic memory. Heavy cruisers target their command vessels, Hayes said. Cut off coordination. The larger ships opened up with directed energy weapons, surgical strikes that severed communication nodes on the Ravager bioships. Without coordination, the swarm's tactics dissolved into chaos. 10 minutes into the battle, the Ravagers had lost 17 ships. At 15 minutes, they'd lost 24. At 20 minutes, the survivors began retreating, jumping to emergency coordinates in complete disarray. They had expected easy prey and found apex predators instead. Hayes watched the last Ravager vessel vanish into slipspace, then switched his attention to damage reports. All ships status? Stormbreaker took minor hull damage, shields at 68%, Lang reported. Destroyer Group reports ammunition reserves at 55%. No casualties. Good work, people. Hayes activated the fleet channel. All vessels maintain defensive perimeter, launch rescue shuttles, and prepare medical teams. He opened a channel to Starpoint Station. Commander Vila, we're dispatching aid. What's your casualty count? We lost 42,000 before you arrived. Vila's voice carried the weight of those deaths. Without your intervention, we would have lost everyone. Captain Hayes, I don't have words adequate enough to thank you. You don't need to thank us, Commander. We heard you calling for help. That's all the reason we needed. Hayes paused. I'd like to meet with you in person. We should coordinate rescue efforts. Captain, would you be willing to come aboard Starpoint? My people would benefit from seeing their rescuers face to face. Hayes understood the request. After the trauma they'd endured, the station's survivors needed to see that help was real. Prepare a docking bay, and Commander, please inform your people we're coming. We're from Earth. Your records probably have concerning information about Death World species. I want everyone to know we're here to help. Another pause. Captain, you just saved us from extinction. My people will welcome you as heroes regardless of your origin. 30 minutes later, Hayes stood in the shuttle bay with 6 Marines and Dr. Michael Torres, their chief medical officer. They'd removed combat armor in favor of standard duty uniforms, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. Remember, we're representing all of humanity, Hayes told his team. First impressions matter. Be professional, be courteous, and be aware that most of these species have never seen a human before. The shuttle touched down in Starpoint's damaged docking bay. As the ramp extended, Hayes saw a small delegation waiting. Commander Vila stood at the front, her insectoid features both alien and expressive. Delicate antennae framed compound eyes that reflected light like cut gems. She stood slightly taller than Hayes but far more slender, built for lower gravity. Hayes descended the ramp and saw Vila's antennae twitch in surprise. He knew what she observed, a human male, compact but thick with muscle, moving with predator grace. His face bore scars from years of service, and his eyes were adapted for Earth's harsh yellow sunlight. "Commander Vila," Hayes extended his hand, remembering to keep his grip gentle. "Captain Daniel Hayes, it's an honor." Vila looked at his hand before reaching out with her own multi-jointed appendage. The handshake was awkward but sincere. "Captain Hayes, I never thought I'd be grateful to meet a Death World species, but I've never been happier to be proven wrong." As they walked through damaged corridors, Hayes noticed several aliens stopping to stare. Human rescue teams worked alongside station engineers, cutting through twisted metal and stabilizing damaged sections. Hayes observed several aliens watching in apparent fascination as humans casually lifted support beams that required 3 Union workers to move. "How are your people holding up?" Hayes asked. "Better now that the attack is over." Vila led them toward a command center. "The casualties are devastating. Without your intervention, we would have lost every soul aboard." Her voice caught. "Children, families, refugees who came here thinking they'd be safe." Dr. Torres spoke up. "Commander, my medical teams are ready to assist. We brought supplies and equipment. Human physiology is compatible with most standard scanners, so we can help triage wounded regardless of species." "That would be incredibly valuable." Vila gestured to a medical officer following them. "This is Dr. Cairn. He can coordinate with your teams." They reached the command center, where human and Union crews worked side by side. Vila pulled up damage reports on a holographic display. "Captain, I've been reviewing the battle footage. Your tactics are unlike anything in Union military doctrine. You engage at extreme range, use kinetic weapons that most species abandoned centuries ago, and perform maneuvers that should tear your ships apart. How is this possible?" Hayes leaned against the console. "Earth has 30% higher gravity than standard Union worlds. Our atmosphere is denser, our weather more violent, and our native predators more dangerous than anything most species encounter." He gestured to himself. "We evolved as endurance hunters. We're built to chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We survive injuries that would kill other species, and we heal faster than expected." "So your ships are built to the same standards as your bodies," Vila said, understanding dawning. "Reinforced structures, powerful engines, redundant systems." "Exactly. When we started colonizing other worlds, we faced everything from hostile environments to aggressive alien species. We had to build ships that could win against superior numbers. Union vessels are designed for crew comfort and efficiency. Human warships are designed to take punishment and keep fighting." Commander Lang entered with a report. "Captain, medical teams have treated over 3,000 wounded. Dr. Torres says the station's supplies were nearly exhausted, but our reserves are compensating." She paused. "Sir, some civilian refugees are asking to meet the humans who saved them." Hayes looked at Vila. "Would that be appropriate? I don't want to overwhelm your people." "I think it would help them," Vila said softly. "They've seen so much death. Knowing someone came to help when all hope was gone might give them reason to keep going." Hayes found himself in one of the station's gathering halls, surrounded by dozens of alien civilians. They represented a mix of species: tall crystalline beings, small furry quadrupeds, and various others he couldn't identify. A small furry creature approached cautiously, its large eyes fixed on Hayes. The being barely reached his knee, covered in soft blue fur and trembling slightly. "Are you really from the scary planet?" it asked in a high-pitched voice. Hayes knelt to be at eye level. "I'm from Earth, yes. I know some people say it's scary, but it's home to me." He smiled gently. "And we came here because we didn't want anything scary to happen to you." "You fought the bad monsters," the child said with certainty. "My parent says you saved us. My crew and I did what we could. Are you okay?" "Were you hurt?" The child shook its head, then reached out and touched Hayes's hand with a tiny paw. "You're not scary, you're nice." Other civilians approached, each with their own story. An elder who'd lost family but wanted to thank the humans for saving the children. An engineer fascinated by human repair techniques. A group of teenagers from various species who looked at the Marines with obvious admiration. Vila stood beside Hayes as he spoke with survivors. "This must be difficult hearing about their losses." "It's part of the job," Hayes said. "But you're right, every person we didn't save is someone who deserved better." He watched the small child run back to its parent. "That's why we do this, though. For every life we protect, every family we keep together." Captain, I've been authorized by the Union Council to begin first contact negotiations, Vila said. They want to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Your actions today have changed everything. The Union spent decades warning about death world species, claiming they're too dangerous to integrate into galactic society. She gestured at the civilians. You've proven that theory wrong in the most dramatic way possible. What kind of negotiations? Hayes asked carefully. Trade agreements, technology exchange, mutual defense pacts. In exchange, they'd want assurances that Earth won't use its military advantage to threaten other species. We're not interested in conquest, Commander. Humans have too much experience being on the receiving end of aggression. We know what it's like to fight for survival. Hayes looked at the gathered survivors. What we want is simple: recognition as equals, the right to protect our colonies, and the freedom to help others when they need it. The Council will agree to those terms, Vila said with certainty. After today, denying Earth's place in the galactic community would be political suicide. You're heroes now, whether you wanted that title or not. Hayes smiled slightly. We just wanted to help. But if being heroes means we can prevent more massacres like this, I'll accept the title. News traveled fast across the quantum communication network linking Union space. Within hours, every government and military organization in the galaxy had received footage of 5 human warships defeating a Ravager swarm that had destroyed an entire Union battle fleet. Reactions ranged from disbelief to terror to cautious hope. Hayes stood on the observation deck of the Stormbreaker, looking out at Starpoint Station as repair crews continued their work. The station would never be the same, bearing scars that would take years to heal, but it would survive. 60,000 beings would return to their families because humanity had decided that hiding wasn't worth the cost of innocent lives. Earth Command is demanding a full briefing. Lang appeared beside him, tablet in hand. Admiral Richardson wants to know why we violated standing orders about maintaining operational security. Tell her we'll provide a full report when we return, Hayes said, and remind her that those standing orders authorize us to respond to immediate threats to civilian populations. She's not going to like that answer. She doesn't have to like it. She just has to accept that first contact happened 6 months ahead of schedule, and we need to deal with the consequences. His comm unit chimed. Vila's voice came through. Captain Hayes, the Union Council has transmitted a formal proposal. They're offering immediate diplomatic recognition, technology sharing agreements, and a mutual defense treaty. They want to discuss humanity joining the Union as full members. Hayes exchanged a look with Lang. That's a significant offer, Commander. What's the catch? No catch. The Council understands that Earth could take what it wants by force. You have the military advantage, and everyone knows it. Offering partnership instead of demanding submission is their way of acknowledging reality while trying to build something positive. We'll need to consult with our government before accepting any treaties, Hayes said. But I can tell you that humanity isn't interested in domination. We've seen what happens when powerful species abuse weaker ones. It never ends well for anyone. I believe you, Captain. The way your crew has treated my people speaks louder than any diplomatic promises. Deathworlders you may be, but you're also compassionate, honorable, and surprisingly gentle when circumstances allow. After the call ended, Hayes's comm lit up again. His communications officer reported multiple distress calls from across the sector. Union stations requesting assistance, colonies under attack, refugee ships fleeing hostile forces. Word had spread that humans responded to emergency broadcasts, and everyone who needed help was calling. Hayes studied the tactical display showing incoming signals. 17 separate distress calls, each representing lives in danger. How many are legitimate emergencies? He asked. All of them, sir. I've verified coordinates and cross-referenced with Union military channels. These are real situations, and in most cases, Union forces can't respond in time. Then we respond. Hayes turned to Lang. Coordinate with the other ships. Plot the most efficient route to address as many situations as possible. Prioritize based on casualty projections and time sensitivity. Sir, we're one small fleet, Lang protested gently. We can't save everyone. If we try, we'll spread ourselves too thin. I know. But we save who we can, and we do it in a way that shows the galaxy what humanity stands for. Hayes activated the fleet channel. All ships, this is Captain Hayes. New orders, we're responding to emergency calls across this sector. It's going to be dangerous and exhausting, but it's also the right thing to do. Silence greeted his words. Then responses came back from each ship, acknowledging and confirming readiness. Hayes felt pride swell in his chest. This was what humanity could be at its best. Flawed and aggressive, born from a harsh world, but also brave, compassionate, and utterly unwilling to stand idle when others suffered. Commander Vila, we're preparing to depart. Hayes transmitted one final message. Your station should be stable enough for Union repair crews to handle the rest. If you need anything else, contact Earth Command. Thank you, Captain, for everything. You didn't just save our lives today. You gave us hope that the galaxy can be better than we thought. That strength doesn't have to mean cruelty. Just remember that when the politicians start arguing about what to do with us, Hayes said with dry humor. Remind them we're on the same side. The Stormbreaker and its escort fleet broke orbit, leaving Starpoint Station behind. As they jumped toward the next emergency, Hayes thought about the future unfolding. Humanity had announced its presence in the most dramatic way possible, and now every species in the galaxy would be watching, judging, deciding whether Deathworlders were friends or threats. But Hayes wasn't worried. Humans had spent their entire existence proving that harsh origins didn't define destiny. They'd climbed out of Earth's gravity well through cooperation and determination. They'd built colonies on hostile worlds through ingenuity and sacrifice. And now they would show the galaxy that being strong meant having the courage to protect the weak. Sir, priority transmission from Earth, the communications officer interrupted his thoughts. Admiral Richardson says, quote, "You're either the biggest hero or the biggest problem Earth has ever produced. Come home and let's figure out which one." Hayes laughed. "Tell her we'll find out together. Set course for the next emergency." He settled back in his command chair, watching stars blur past as the ship accelerated. "Let's go save some lives." The Stormbreaker jumped to slipspace, carrying with it humanity's promise. Wherever someone needed help, wherever innocence faced extinction, Deathworlders would answer the call. The galaxy was about to learn that the species from the most dangerous planet had decided to be everyone's unexpected guardian. And that decision would reshape the future of every civilization among the stars. Human warships spread across Union territory in the following months, responding to distress calls and establishing a reputation that would endure for generations. Earth joined the Galactic Union not as supplicants seeking acceptance, but as equals who had proven their worth through action rather than words. The Death World species had become protectors, and the galaxy was safer for it. Captain Daniel Hayes returned to Earth 6 months later to a hero's welcome, but he requested immediate reassignment to deep space. There were still people who needed help, and he'd learned something important during that first desperate battle at Starpoint Station. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their resilience, but their unwavering conviction that when someone called for help, you answered. No matter the cost, no matter the risk, and no matter what anyone else thought about it. That conviction became humanity's legacy among the stars.